Sup boys, Ludo here with the Shadow Priest PvP guide, one of my favorite casters in the game, the first caster I ever played. So, let's get going. Shadow Priest is the final class that I pushed over 1.8, so I did them all now. Now, let's talk about Shadow Priest right now. How is it? Just recently received significant 25% buff on main abilities, which is pretty decent, nothing crazy, but unfortunately it is a nerf, a big nerf, because your biggest enemies got even a bigger buff. Warrior, Enhancement Shaman, right? So you'll be having, for some, I don't know what reason, you will be put in triple melee lobbies almost every game. Specifically on Shadow Priest. Guys, I was climbing. Almost every single lobby was a triple melee. It's crazy. I didn't have this experience on other classes, but specifically on Shadow Priest, every single game was a triple melee lobby. I don't know why, it's rigged, but it's really painful to climb like that. Okay? So, if you're experiencing this too, you're not alone for some reason. I don't know why. Anyways, so just before the patch, I was thinking, people were saying Shadow Priest is garbage. I was immediately above 1860. Just literally few games, I was winning pretty much all of them until the patch day. So I was, just a few games in, 1860, boom, patch day comes. I get double warrior, enhancement shaman. I get double warrior, unholy decay. These games are unwinnable. Maybe you can pull one game, but if you go 0-6, you're not to blame. You can't do anything here. You're completely reliant on your healer after you disperse. Like, you need to disperse the doom winds. After that, you're completely reliant on your team. You can't do anything here. If you lose, you don't suck. It's just, the roll of the dice. So, I just want to tell you that before we start, okay? Now, I'll show you one example when you can, cheese maybe triple melee lobbies, but then again, it just depends on what melees you're playing against. Again, if you're playing against a double warrior, unholy decay, or enhancement shaman, it's not gonna go probably. But maybe if it's something else, maybe like one warrior, windwalker, and red paladin, you could pull a win, or windwalker, like any of those, you could, do it. If they are not, if they're zagging too hard, LSing their healer, you could cheese and win. Like I did go 6-0 in one of these mini lobbies, but then again, they have to do mistakes, It's about them, it's not about you. So, let's get going. It was a little bit longer intro. Now, with the basics. Races, right? What race are we picking? We're creating our character. What are we picking? We have pretty much few good options, right? Obviously, Night Elf, pretty decent, very good. Now, the Night Elf will be, in my opinion, probably contender for a second spot, but we get a haste on the ratio. We get a Shadow Meld, which is a very good defensive. You can do a lot of things with it. Storm Bolt, like many things, anything, any projectile, Chaos Bolt, right? Now, in my opinion, the best is the Void Elf. You get a 5% random damage, not the biggest deal. You get the teleport, pretty decent, because you, as a Shadow Priest, you're very static. You're like the most immobile class there is. The most immobile. There's nothing more immobile than you, okay? And then finally we get the kickback delay, removal, because usually if you get out attacked while you're casting, you will get a delay on your abilities, right? You're playing against Beam Hunter, really annoying. Like, your ability is 1 second and it's gonna be like 1.2 seconds, 1.3 seconds. So it's really annoying, it's a big deal, okay? In my opinion, by far, Void Elf is the best. Now we have High Mountain as well, pretty decent, but it's not gonna do that much against like a warrior, like you know, my Hans Shaman, which are very burst, you die to the burst. It's decent against classes like BM Hunter, you know, that are passive damage. But unfortunately, I didn't have problem with these classes. The problem was the classes that are just gonna, you know, destroy you in big hits, big burst, like Arms Warrior, like, you know. That's why I think Void Elf is actually the best. Now, if you don't want to play any of these, you could always go with something that's also solid, like Dark Iron Dwarf. Very solid ratio, right? Very solid ratio. Fireblood pretty good. Outside of that, it's pretty much gonna be all on the equal. You can go human, you can go dwarf, you can go, you know, anything. So that covers the ratios. Now, for the stats, guys, we'll be running versatility #1 because you'll be the target almost every game, except if there's maybe a Destro lock, affliction lock, right? Outside of that, you will be the focus. So if you do not, you know, if you do not like being gangbanged every game, I don't know if Shadow Priest is for you, except maybe in competitive trees where you'll be playing with the lock or something like that, where you will not be maybe the focus, right? But outside of that, you'll be a punching bag. So there we go. Haste, the second best. Just, you know, reduces your cast time, really important, reduces your GCD, really important, and in the end it, you know, buffs your damage because all the damage is dots, and the dots will tick faster, right? Then Mastery, just increasing your damage, nothing crazy, but haste is better. And crit finally. You know, we have a lot of crit modifiers, which is interesting and, in my opinion, a little bit stupid for the Shadow Priest. But you see, a lot of crit modifiers we have here, but then again, it's nerfed in PvP, it's still gonna be the worst stat. I mean, both Mastery and crit are bad, and that's it. Haste verse is the play. Very simple, okay? Now, for the gear, let's start with the tier set. As you see, tier set 4 and 2 are pretty damn decent. Like, they're very, very solid. One of the best tier sets out there. They're really decent. Now, we do need to take some crit, right? So these are the pieces we're gonna take. Head, right? Chest, hands, and the legs. As you see, we're losing a lot of verse. And that's why everything I will be going verse on the gems, on the everything, right? So these 4 pieces, okay? Now, second thing, embellishment. Personally, I'm going Arcano Viva Insight, but the most guys I've seen on the top of the ladder were going Devouring Banding. Now, probably just to buff your versatility up. So I see how it makes sense, but I just went with this. I didn't even look at it. So Arcano Viva Insight is completely fine as well, but most of the guys, rank 1s I've seen, are running Devouring Banding. Now the difference is not gonna be, you know, it's gonna be like 0.01%, so don't even worry about it. Go with, you know, doesn't matter which one of these two you're gonna pick. Okay, now for the enchants. Oh, yeah, we'll do that last. Enchants, I'm going with the Leech on the shoulders, head, and the boots. Leech because movement speed, I mean, is decent, but you're like a turret, boys. Okay, you can't, like, this is all movement you have, and if you're slowed, it's gonna be like this, right? So is 15% movement speed gonna do much for you? Probably not. Even though Leech kind of sucks in PvP, but it is what it is. Shadow Priest is the life of Shadow Priest. Now for the legs and for the chest, we're going with the main stat, intellect, right? And on the fingers, I'm going with the tenacity, so versatility, right? Now, for the weapon, you can also go with the versatility. It's you will see a lot of people going the main stat as well. But I was feeling like, hey man, like so many triple melee lobbies, I was feeling like I need more verse. Okay, obviously the intellect is going to give you more damage, but this is gonna, you know, give you a little bit more tankiness. Okay. Now for the gems, verse plus haste, very easy, very brain dead, right? We are going all gems like this. Now, for the last gem, I was giving myself a little bit of a challenge. I went with the enduring gem instead of a precog. It's a mistake, of course. You need to go with the precog because it's insanely good. But I did this for fun, so you know, just go with the precog gem. That's it. Now, I think we covered gear. I think we covered everything. Let's get into the hero talent tree. So, currently, dispatch at this moment, Voidweaver is the play. Okay, it's 100% the play every game. Archon is pretty underwhelming compared to Voidweaver. Okay. Personally, I'm an Archon lover. I really like Archon, but currently Voidweaver is the only play. Okay, so if you're playing Shadow Priest right now, Voidweaver will be a must if you're playing arenas. Now, if you're playing BGs, you could definitely run Archon. Okay, we'll be going through both of the builds, so no worries there. But you know, if you want to be a little bit more competitive, Voidweaver is definitely the play. Now, again, in BGs, in open world, maybe Archon is definitely playable. It's not horrible, but this is the meta build, right? So first we'll be going through the left tree, then the right tree, then the mid tree, PvP talents, and then I'll finish up with the Archon. So let's get going. So I removed a few optional talents that I believe are optional. Everything else pretty much set in stone. Okay, so let's go through it one by one. So it's not gonna do much, right? So we'll be skipping this for sure. Angelic Feather, we needed to go down. Mindless, obviously. Intellect, of course. Purging abilities, very important, but we also need to pick it. Leap of Faith, again, very, very nice for our team, right? So we can save our team. Now, in some games, it could not come in useful if you're getting trained, but, you know, it's always good to have it. Maybe you can save your healer from a trap or something. It's very useful, right? Power Infusion, of course. This, it's not gonna do much. We're never gonna pick this pretty much. Of course, boosting our damage. We're going down here for this pretty much, decreasing our cooldown on the fear. Very good, very important. Now, first optional, mind control. It's insanely good, right? It's insanely good. But why I say it's optional? If you're in triple melee lobby, there's no way you're gonna use this, right? Now, in a lobby where you could use this, definitely go with it, right? But again, in some lobbies, it's just impossible to cast, okay? All of these, of course, they're insanely good, right? Now this, it's not gonna do anything, right? So, then we have a second choice. Are we gonna go with the cooldown reduction on the Leap of Faith? Very good, very good. Or we can go something like this. Reduces the mana cost of, you know, Dismass, Dispel, and Dispel Magic if you're purging a lot. Because at some point, if you're purging like against the Wrestle Druid, you'll get if you're purging a lot. So then this is also a solid choice as well. So you can go both of them if you want, right? But I usually go one. Depends which one I need. So let's say I need this one at the moment. Okay. Then here, of course, all these passive, you know, damage bonuses we're going. These they won't do anything, unfortunately. I mean, like, this is so niche, no one will be clicking this. But obviously you can, you know, maybe if someone has an undead pet or something, but will you be really looking while you're getting your ass blasted? Probably not. So I wouldn't even think about it that far, right? Now this is a second optional. 2% leech, it's really low. It's really low. So it's okay. This could be better. You know, 2% leech is really low. So whatever, like, this is not much either, let's be real. 10% on the purge, it's not that much. So one of these two I would go with. Let's go. In my opinion, I like purging more, but this is really not gonna do much. But again, it's an optional. Now the last talent, guys. The last talent, we're gonna pick in the lower tree, okay? Now here, I mean, this could help you a little bit against warriors if you... so instead, you know, of this, you could go with this against the warrior, but this is completely RNG. Our crit chance is like 7%. You know, it's not gonna do much, okay? But the only reason is because of this, right? If you get 10% on this, plus 5% on this, it's a decent, but it's really low chance, so I wouldn't recommend it. Okay, let's pick this time this. Now this, it's minimal. It's really minimal. I was running this, but you don't even feel it. It's really minimal. Now for the last point, guys, we're definitely going down here, right, into this, and down here into this, because we want this 10% damage reduction, definitely. Now, unfortunately, I was running this at the start, because I was used to running this. This is really decent. You get like 6 yard, 7, whatever, on all of your abilities, which is pretty significant. Now, the only problem is you can't go this then. And this is, well, pretty useful, because you'll be trained, you'll be dying. So this is just another mini defensive, I would say. Like a mini defensive. You know, so it just depends. I was running both of them. I honestly like this more, but you'll be dying. You'll be dying. So in the end, you have to bite it and take this, I guess. You know. So that'll be it for the left tree, boys. Now for the right tree, we have few choices, and those would be these two. Okay. Again, this for the Voidweaver. For the Archon, we'll have something else. So here, all of these are pretty much locked in. I'm gonna say one thing here. I was definitely running this at the start, but unfortunately, you need this. Okay, so because you can apply Vampiric Touch through tentacles, right? You won't be able to cast a lot. So often you won't be even able to get Vampiric Touch on the enemies, except with Tentacle Slam. So this will definitely bear, and this is your top damage in the end anyways, right? So you want to be dotting up everyone with the Shadow Word Pain, at least. Like everyone with this. Now if you get a Vampiric Touch on everyone would be perfect, but you know, sometimes you can't. So the two optional points we have can either go into the Shadowy Operations damage here. Okay. 1, 2. Or we can go here. Now this is 6% pretty much on all your abilities. It's pretty decent. Shadow Word Madness plus Vampiric Touch plus all the dots pretty much. Shadow Word Pain, like all the dots. This is great. But this is kind of a dead talent. That's the problem. So, what is better here? Hard to say. Most people are running this because, well, this is big. But if you're experimenting with this on the top of the ladder, I did it as well. I was running this first, I would say 80% of the games. Last games I went with this just to try it out. Was it any different? Probably not. So, you know, whatever you think makes more sense, okay? I was running both. I didn't honestly feel a big difference, okay? Everything else, guys, pretty much set in stone, all of these, right? Now this one could be as well put anywhere, okay? The last point could be put anywhere. You could go then something like this instead, right? That's, for some reason, I like this. I like this. So I would recommend this. It's not gonna do much, really. It's not gonna do much. But it's just passive damage, okay? Generating insanity is the bigger thing here, in my opinion, than the damage, okay? Now, the mid tree, again, we don't have a lot of options. In my opinion, this is definitely better, because you want to be moving around, you're already very immobile. Here, I'm running with this, even though this one is better, but again, triple melee zags, you won't be able to cast those Void Blast. That's the point. So in a game where you can actually cast, this is definitely better. But in a game you can't cast, in my opinion, this is better. That's why I'm running this, okay? Now, for the last choice, Void Lich is what makes us pretty much tanky. So you need to be running this, except in full magic lobbies where you can go with this. Okay? That's the only logic here we have, right? Now, for the PvP talents, guys, we'll always be running phase shift. Like, it's unplayable without this. It's really good. You need this. It's so good. Okay? Then, Driven to Madness, in my opinion, as well. Really, really important. Really important. Now, I'm saying this for Voidweaver. Like, it's really important. Okay? Because it's gonna, it's gonna reduce the cooldown by a lot. So really important. Now the last choice, personally I like Siphon the most. That's my preferred choice. But you could always go with something like Cascading Horrors. Okay. Especially against melees, it's really useful, but then again, Siphon is also useful to score that kill, right? So Cascading Horrors is definitely viable. Mind Trauma, in my opinion, is super good, but not in the Voidweaver tree. This is better in the Archon. Now this, well, no, because we have way better options. Again, this, no, because we have way better options. I mean, it could make sense against like an Ice Block or a Red Paladin. But then again, we have such good talents, PvP talents. Like, if we had more slots, then we could take this, definitely. But we don't. Mind Games again. We have better options. It's decent, but we have better options. Psychic Shroud, again, very decent, but we have better options. This is mostly play on the healer, right? So you might be used to this because if you're playing healer or something, but I think these 4 options, even 5, are better than these last few options, right? So that will be it for the Voidweaver. Now let's get to the Archon. Now, for the Archon, we have a decent amount of changes. First, in the left tree, I removed 2 points here because of this. Mind Flay damage increased by 15%, so we need to remove this 100%. So since I'm removing this, so I mean, this is not that great, I'm gonna go with this. I like this more, right? So that's the first change we have to do. Now on the right tree, we're removing all this left stuff because it's not a single target build anymore as much, right? You'll see why. We're buffing our Shadow Reparations damage as well, so we'll be doing more cleave damage, plus Halo, plus all that. Our cleave damage will be very nice. So in that case, that's why I'm going with this. Now again, this is going to be for BGs mostly because Arenas currently unplayable. It's just too weak. You don't have the killing power, okay? So this will be, in my opinion, for the BGs mostly right now. Now, if it gets buffed, it will definitely work for Arenas, right? So, as I said, we removed all of these for the here in the right tree, right? We're going both these now. Shadow Reparations plus the dot damage, right? Plus more damage on the Mind Flay. We need that for the kills, right? Plus all these passive damage dealers that won't be doing much, but they will do something, right? So that's the tree for Archon, in my opinion. Okay, you see all of these are definitely, it's not even a question which ones are the best. All of these are the best. So that will be for the Archon. It's different gameplay, but I like it more. So if you want to try Archon out, try it. But don't expect good results in Arena. In PGs, it's gonna be definitely decent. Okay, let's go to the most important part, how to do damage. So, how do we do this? We pretty much score kills in the burst only. Outside of that, it's not gonna do much. So, first things first is, well, we wanna, you know, dot everyone up, obviously. Everyone is dotted up. We are near our cap of insanity. I'm not, but let's imagine I am. Okay. And then, okay, I have some insanity now. Then we're gonna start our burst. Okay. So we're gonna power infusion into void form into void torrent. Okay, let's do that. We're instantly gonna cancel it with a void blast into a tentacle, and we're just gonna spam shadow with max. We're gonna siphon as well, and shadow with that, void wall it, and then hopefully someone is dead. At this same time we'll be silencing the healer, of course. Okay, so that's it. That's the burst. It's like 10 globals compared to 1 global Ray of Frost, which is gonna do exactly the same damage. So you know, it is what it is. Now, outside of the burst, all we have to do is survive until the next one, because we won't be scoring kills otherwise. Now, meanwhile, we just wanna, you know, dot everyone up. We just wanna dot everyone up while we are waiting for our next burst. That's pretty much the gameplay for the Voidweaver, right? Now, if we get a Mind Blast proc, boom, of course we're gonna click it, right? We won't be casting much if we are the focus. Now, if you're not the focus, it's gonna be way different. Okay? We'll be casting Quick Touch on everyone. We'll be, you know, keeping our dots. That's the first main goal, right? And then outside of that, Mind Blast whenever we can. Of course, Shadow Warrior Menace at the top if we are at the max, right? Now, we do want to bank some of these Shadow Warrior Menaces for the burst, right? That's the goal, because we want to be scoring kills out. So you don't want to, you know, you don't want to use them all before we burst. That's not gonna make any sense. Shadow Warrior that whenever you can, but guys, these things do no damage, right? Unfortunately, Mind Flay, like, yeah, you can cast this if you already did all of these steps. Like, everyone is dotted up, your madness is not capped, your Mind Blast is on cooldown, your Shadow Word that is on cooldown, and then into Mind Flay. That's pretty much all we have outside of our burst, like Void Torrent, Void Eruption, and Tentacle Slam. Now, do we want to be Tentacle Slamming outside of the burst? We do, if the burst is, you know, far away. But if the burst is in like 5 seconds, we probably don't. But if the burst is not in the next 10 seconds, we can, right? Okay, so that's for the consistent damage dealer. By the way, guys, if this is helped you out, drop the like and sub, and let's go to see how to play Archon. Now, for the Archon, we can do it 2 ways. Either we're gonna Halo into Void form, which is a more safe way, or we can Void form into Halo. It's gonna be maybe a little bit more damage, but you could get kicked. Okay, so Halo behind the pillar for a secure cast, and then you can with range Void form. Now, if they don't have kick, if you have precog, you could Void form into the Halo, and then the rest of the rotation is gonna be pretty much the same. So we're gonna dot everyone up per usual. We're gonna power infusion, we're gonna Void Eruption, Halo, and then we're gonna slam, madness, right? And then we're gonna use Mind Flays whenever we can. Boom, boom, boom. And then we're gonna Void Volley, Shadow Warrior that, and again, use Madness whenever we can, and whenever we get the Insanity proc, boom, we're gonna use it. That's our top damage. Outside of that, that's the whole burst. Okay, you won't be Mind Blasting a lot here, because you're not a Voidweaver. The Mind Flay is your more priority damage for killing people. Outside of that will be, you know, again, dotting everyone up per usual, waiting for our next Halo, and then we're gonna do it again. Okay, again, if we have Tentacle Slime charge and Halo is not close, boom, we can use them up, of course, right? Again, Madness, if you're at the cap, we can use them up. 1. Shadow Word that off cooldown if they're under 20%, right? So that's the philosophy of the Archon. Fortunately, it's gonna be a little bit of less burst, but in BGs, it's gonna be very nice. Okay, so now next, let's talk about defenses, utility, CC of the Shadow Priest. Starting with the most painful one, CC. We do not have a lot of CC, unfortunately, anymore. We had the stun into a sphere, into a sound. It was crazy good. Now we don't have it. So what we can do is just silence from afar, because we won't be reaching the healer because we have no stun, right? We have no stun. So we can't really walk to the enemy healer and fear him, unless someone else sets it up. For example, like in that burst clip I showed you, you know, someone needs to stun the healer, someone needs to, you know, dodge the healer, stun him, do whatever, so we can walk, boom, fear. Outside of that, we won't be getting those fears off, unfortunately, except if we're playing a Void Elf. We could teleport into fear, into a silence. That's pretty good, 10-second CC for a kill. Okay, so that covers the CC. Now the one thing, mind control. It's a CC, but will we be able to pull this off? In many games, not. But this is so good ability. It's one of the best game abilities in the game, right? It's really useful, but very hard if you're being focused. Now, defenses, guys. First line of defense, Fade. Very short cooldown, 10-second damage reduction. Sorry, 10% damage reduction, plus that 1 second invulnerability. Insane. So this is pretty much gonna press it off cooldown. Literally off cooldown, it's so good. Then, Flash Heal. Again, 10% damage reduction, very nice. Very nice. And then we get our main defensive, Dispersion. It's so good. But you can't click it if you get shadow locked. That's the problem here. So if you're playing against a mage, for example, you get 6 seconds shadow locked, you're dead. You're dead. Okay? If your healer doesn't intervene. Now, we do have Desperate Prayer. It's really weak. It's pretty damn weak. But if you have nothing else left, just click this. It's very weak, but it is what it is, you know. Then the thing we talked about here, Angelic Bulwark, again, a mid defensive. It's gonna auto proc, so there we go. Vampiric Embrace, very decent. Usually best when your allies are dying, but you know, whenever you're getting pressured and your burst is near, you can just press this, because as you see, it is mostly on single target shadow damage. So Shadow Word Madnesses will be the healing stuff mostly, right? Shadow Word Madness. So that's for defenses. We do not have much. Our buff, don't forget to buff. Outside of that, utility, we have the Feather. We can. It's probably the weakest movement speed in the game, right? Same for the Shadow Word Barrier. I mean, it's not gonna do much if you're slowed already, so that's the only mobility we have. It is what it is. But Leap of Faith, very good ability. You can save your healer from CC. He's stunned there. I don't know, Priest is coming to fear him, boom, you pull him. Hunter is gonna trap him, boom, you pull him, right? So a lot of stuff you can do with the leap. Now, Dispel Magic, very useful as well for purging enemies from buffs, from bop, from, you know, a lot of things, right? You can purge any magical ability buff on the enemy. Very useful. Now, the most important part, maybe, from the utility part, is the Mass Dispel. So, what you can Mass Dispel is a bubble, ice block, even a trap from the hunter on your healer. So you can do a lot of stuff. You can dispel enemies and your allies. So this is so good to use. Insane ability, okay? One of the best in the game. Again, dispelling immunities, which no one else can dispel, like a bubble, like an ice block, right? Only you can do that. No one else can do it. So be on the lookout for that. Now, let's get into the macros. So, we won't have too many macros. It's usually gonna be 1 to 3 on the mind control. Same for the silence, 1 to 3 silence. Same for the purge, right? The spell magic 1 to 3. Now you could do a leap for your teammates, party 1 and party 2. I do a cursor on the mind blast, on the mass dispel, and outside of that I do this so I don't double click it. And outside of that, that's pretty much it, boys. That's pretty much it for the macros. Nothing crazy. Now for the add-ons, I have a full 20-minute UI guide if you want to have exactly the same UI as me, and you can also import the codes from my Discord server, you know. So drop in, say hello, and I'll see you there. Shuffle, Blitz, 2s, 3s. How is Shadow looking right now? Let's start with the shuffle, and you'll see a pattern here. Shadow Priest is barely B tier. It's not in a great position. All the classes that are really good against Shadow Priest are really good right now. Plus Shadow Priest is very mediocre at the same time. I would say it's a B tier overall, but given that, you know, some really good classes against Shadow Priest are really good right now, it's like a really low B tier because of that, maybe even C tier. You know, unfortunately. That's the case here. Now, for the 2s, it's not gonna be your best bracket, okay? It's really not gonna be your best bracket. Unfortunately, the 2v2 double DPS is almost unviable at the moment because healers are so good. So I think the days of double DPS in 2s are at the moment not looking good, except if you're a rogue mage, of course, right? But for Shadow Priest, it was good back in the day. Now, at the moment, it's not really gonna work out. Like, you can have fun, you know, but you won't reach any good rating with it, okay? Even if you rank 1, you're probably gonna, you know, maybe be at... The rating, way worse players will be with healers, okay? So for the 2v2, you will need to play with a healer, but you don't have a mortal wound effect except on the Psy Fiend, and the burst is not that great since, as I said, Frost Mage will do your whole burst, 10 button burst, in 1 ray of frost. Plus he has a 6-second kick, plus size block 2 times, plus 2 invisibilities on London cooldown. You get it, you know. So it's barely C tier, okay? Now in 3v3 again, you're choosing your comp, so it could be a little better than in the 2v2 and shuffle. A little better, I'm saying. Nothing crazy, because people won't be... They don't want to play with you, because Shadow Priest sucks. So if they do want to play with you, of course, the usual, you know, Shadow play is always fun to play, but at the moment it's nothing great. So you want to play probably with the meta classes, like a Rogue. Rogue is really good. Any Rogue. All 3 are amazingly good, you know? So you probably want to do that. Or you could play with something like something else that has mortal effects, like a Feral. But Feral needs to be very good. So it's gonna be really... Like, these comps are all really hard to play because Shadow Priest is hard, plus Feral is hard. So, you know, it's a tough way to climb. That's what I'm gonna say. Now, outside of that, Warrior Shadow Priest was viable. You could try that, because Warrior is really good right now, but then again, you're pretty weak. Shadow play, Warlock, and Shadow Priest, in my opinion, super fun to play, especially because you won't be the focus always, so you will have, I think, the most fun out of all comps in that comp. So you're probably gonna play with the Demolock, or you can try it because he has mortal wounds, right, because of the pet. But you can try with Affliction as well, because Affliction is really good right now as well. So that's that. Again, you're not meta, so play without whatever makes you fun. Now, Blitz is probably gonna be the best at the moment bracket for climbing as a Shadow Priest, because well, you're not gonna be a high priority target because there'll be Death Locks, there'll be Affliction Locks, and they'll be going for them. You will also be able to free cast, and that's gonna feel good, right? You'll be able to spread your dots, spread your vampiric touches. It's gonna feel good. So in my opinion, Blitz is the best, but still, it's a B-tier spec. There are way better casters than Shadow Priest. It's not the worst, but it's in the middle of the pack. Like, there are worse ones, but there are definitely better casters to pick for Blitz as well. So overall, you are barely B tier in all brackets, okay? In some even C tier. Now, let's get into strength and difficulty. Okay, so the document from the last year when I was pushing elite on every single class and the spec. Now we're just gonna overwrite it. I did, well, Shadow Priest is pretty much the last one I did. I forgot to say mage, but let's do the Shadow Priest. Now, don't be scared because this is just from last year. We're gonna overwrite it now. So Voidweaver's strength right now is probably like a 6 out of 10. It's a 6 out of 10, and Archon is like 4 out of 10. Okay, 0 the weakest, 10 the strongest. Now the difficulty, in my opinion, Archon is a little bit easier. I'm gonna give it 8.5. And Voidweaver right now, 9 out of 10. It's not the hardest spec out there. I would say it's maybe top 3, top 4 hardest specs in the game. There are a few harder ones, but it's really hard as well. Okay, but at the moment, this is probably gonna be the hardest spec to get elite on out of all. Okay, I've played so far because of the meta. It's really not in Shadow Priest's favor at the moment. So that's why I'm gonna rate it 9.5 out of 10. Really hard to get elite. Okay, and plus deflation. If you get some injection of MMR, this will definitely drop maybe to an 8. But at the moment, insanely hard. Insanely hard. Only could be achieved by rank 1s. I doubt I'll achieve it if we don't get some injection boost of MMR, because like there's no one even elite. Right? There's 0 people, pretty much. So, guys, thank you very much for watching. I'll be dropping a few rounds of shuffle now at the end. Few against triple melee, few against normal lobby, balanced lobby. So you have reference for both, you know, games. What's different, how to play them. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully you learned something. If you did, drop the like and subscribe, and I will see you. Peace out.
Blessing of freedom. Avatar.
Very good healer. This is gonna be rough for the... Here we go, mage here.
Blessing of freedom.
Very nice, baby.
Alter time. Shroud. No. Nullifying Shroud.
Very nice, babe.
Alter time. Absolute freedom. Blessing of freedom.
Ah. Very nice.
Nullifying shroud.
I thought I wanted to. Okay. If this hold was a little bit later, it's a bit jumpy. Still a bit later.
Dispel reflection. Nullifying shroud.
I wanted to prove him, but it is what it is. I still didn't get 1.8. God damn.